The Vikings hold on for the win. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Lago Vista Football Show, right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media, brought to you by the Lago Vista Booster Clubs. As the Vikings jump out to a 28-0 lead at halftime, and then hold on. I mean, it was 35-20. I don't think it was quite like sweaty, but LaGrange kept staying in it. With that new offense of theirs. But, man, what a game from Wyatt Herring. 302 yards on 23 carries. Just putting up PlayStation numbers right there. And as Coach will talk about, most of those yards were after contact. Just a great game by him. Great game by the offensive line, too. You don't rush for 300 yards as a team and or player without your offensive line doing good work. I mean, unless you're like, Barry Sanders or somebody, like you're having to break 20 tackles in the backfield. But that wasn't the case this week. A really good, solid win for Lago Vista. They move on now to take on a Smithfield team that I personally think is better than their record. And I think they're a team that can cause a lot of problems. And I think this is going to be a really good test for Lago Vista before 13-4A Division II play starts up in a couple weeks against Navarro. Smithfield, they're 1-3, and they're talented. It's just one of those things where, for whatever reason, things are not happening good in the game. But don't look at that 1-3 record and assume that this is going to be a walkover. I think this is going to be a 1 or 2 possession game. I do think the Vikings will win it, though. As always, we're going to be talking to the head coach of the Vikings, Coach Creighton Phillips, about the win against LaGrange and about the matchup against Smithfield. But first, if you're going to have to watch the game at home, got some information for you. If you haven't heard, the Viking Sports Network is now powered by Huddle TV. Now, there's some changes. You'll need to create an account at https://fan.huddle.com/. Now, I'm going to put this in the show page, so look down if you're listening to this on the website, s2ssport.com. It's right there. All you got to do is click on it. Once you click on it, search for Lago Vista Vikings. Now, there's a fee per broadcast, $8 for a single, $15 for a month, and $75 for the year. As I've been saying, if you're going to watch more than football, go ahead and get the $75 for a year. If you're not, then I think the $15. I would not do the $8 for a single broadcast. I mean, you might as well just go ahead and do $15, which will help Lago Vista anyway. I would just do that and just be safe. But, whatever you're going to do. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments about it, you can email Eric Holt, eholt@lagovistaisd.net. All right, take a break. When we come back, it is the head coach, Creighton Phillips, right here on the Lago Vista Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Lago Vista Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Vikings, Coach Creighton Phillips. And, Coach, you go to 2-2. You beat LaGrange, second win in a row, 35-20 in a game you jumped out early on them. What were your thoughts?
Well, I was proud of the kids. I thought game plan-wise, things were going according to plan, as good as we could expect them, especially early on, went into halftime with a 28-0 lead. We were excited. The kids were fired up about, how things were popping. Defense was playing really well against a pretty formidable passing opponent. So we were pretty excited about that. There were definitely some second half things that we've looked at to fix in order to not, get outscored 3-1 in the second half.
Well, we've talked all year about how y'all were going more to an option offense. We've talked about Dominic Garcia and such, but Wyatt Herring, man, what a breakout game. 302 yards. Just a great game for him.
Right. I think there's some dual credit there. I think the offensive line had one of their better nights so far this year. It's like, we've talked a lot about our inexperience, and as they grow comfortable in what they're doing, we do things a little bit faster and we get things going. We figure out our identity a little bit. And then Wyatt just ran like a machine Friday night. Of his 302 yards, I dare say 250 of them were probably after contact. I think he had one run where he was pretty much just everybody blocked him for him. But other than that, he was breaking tackles and getting 5, 10, 15 extra yards, dragging people, and a guy that's not necessarily a big kid, but he certainly plays a lot bigger than his stature.
Well, and talking about that option offense, and we've talked all year long about the reasons why y'all kind of transitioned into it. And this is what you want in this offense. You have a guy like Garcia running things, but you want them to have to pick which guy they're going to go after, which leaves you the option of, like in this week, Herring having a big game.
Right. And so it gives you the ability as a coach to figure out what it is that they're trying to stop. And then it gives you some play call opportunities to get your playmakers the ball in space and see how they'll adjust to it. A lot of Herring's plays were actually not necessarily option plays. It was a little more of the power game this week that was working. And so I feel good about having, a pretty good mixture of our offense that we have the ability to find that crease, right? Find that soft spot that we can really get the ball moving and get the chains moving.
You talked about the defense, and you shut them out in the first half. You gave up some points in the second half. What are the things you think y'all need to work on coming out of this game defensively?
Yeah, I can't even really give the defense credit for any of those points as we gave the ball up on their end. Several of those times we went forward on fourth down. I hate punting. I absolutely hate punting. I feel like I'm giving up every time I punt. I don't know. There's something inside of me that just hates to call a punt. And we had 4th and 1. I think on 3 different occasions we tried, something that's worked over and over and over again. And our kids, they're just not. We didn't get it, and so that was tough that we turned over the ball on downs in a situation where we feel like, 1 yard, come on, we can get 1 yard. We didn't, and it was just execution in the moment. We were a little bit tired. We were a little bit gassed. LaGrange did a good job of, once they would get a first down, they would really step on the gas and try to snap the ball, like every 15 seconds. And so we've got two-way players, and we've got kids out there that are, running around and trying to make stops. And so they did a good job with that. And so late in the game, probably a little bit fatigue was a factor there. So there's some things that we worked on with our short yardage this week and with our fatigue issues this week, so that hopefully that won't come back to bite us again.
So the no punting thing, or dislike of punting, is that something that ever since you've been playing, or was that something that you've developed as a coach to where you just hate to punt?
I think just as a coach, you snap the ball back there 15 yards deep, and, if they were to get a block, I know this, that every time you get a punt blocked, they score a touchdown afterwards. It's just almost 100%, right? Like the momentum shift and all of that. I think our guys are Coach Reed, my special teams coordinator, does a really good job. They've protected well. Knock on wood, it's gone well this year. I like what we're doing. It's just one of those things. If I can keep the ball, I can run the clock. Right? When LaGrange has the ball, there's no clock moving. I think they had a whole series. They went 3 and out, and I think maybe took off 15 seconds off the clock. And so I'm looking at my guys that are tired, and I know that I can snap it with 2 or 3 seconds left on the play clock, and I can get some time moving off this thing. And if we don't have the ball, they're not going to have any time moving off this thing. So that was part of what went into the decision making there. And also, it's a momentum shift for you too. You go for it on 4th and get it.
Yeah.
The defense is kind of, oh man, we gave it up. Now we got to go again, and your offense gets a little bit of energy, and you get some more downs. You can run, 2, 3, 4 more minutes off the clock. If you can just keep those chains going.
All right. Your opponent this week, it's Smithville, and you and I were talking before we start recording. They're a team that I don't think that they're very happy with their 1-3. I'm a little shocked that they're 1-3. When you look at the film, what do you see with the Tigers?
Well, I think I would agree with you. I wouldn't expect them to be 1-3 at this point. They've got a decent number of kids returning. Some kids that really have great motors. They just get after it defensively, where they're coming to get you, and they're pretty good tacklers in space. They've got kids that can cover, man to man, so they can free up extra box players or extra players to fill on the run. Their offense, they've got several speedy guys. They run a little bit of a passing game and quick screen game, and they run some trick plays and stuff. So they're very dangerous. So if you're not really focused on your job and your assignment, they can bust you.
And this kind of feels like a game, kind of like with LaGrange, where it feels like if you can jump out on them early, you might can start kind of getting them doubting themselves.
Right. I think you obviously would like to do that every week. Get out there and get a cushion to where you feel comfortable and you get them uncomfortable. And so when you get people into their part of their offense or their part of their defense that is their adjustment, or it's their, when things aren't going well, we're going to have to try this. They get into what they would probably consider their low percentage stuff. You feel like you have the upper hand there as long as you, defend that well or you adjust to that well with your own offense. And so if you can get people into that situation, you feel comfortable. And when you're comfortable, your kids play at a higher execution level, and, that's how you win ball games.
You had brought up the fact that, we've talked all year long about, you have a young team this year, but you're 4 games in now. Are they where you feel that you thought they would be at this point?
I don't know. With so many kids that needed experience, it's hard to tell what their growth pattern is going to be. Of course, we look at our kids with rose-colored glasses and we think they can do it. They can do anything. And so we coach them like that. I do think we are a lot better football team overall right now than we were 4 weeks ago, which is where you'd want to be regardless of where you started. But I think our growth plane is really it's a pretty sharp angle right now because of the inexperience. Those kids are now becoming comfortable, and that is one of the biggest things you can do as a football team, as a coaching staff, is to get your kids comfortable with what they're doing. And so when they're relaxed out there on the field, they just get to play. And when they're relaxed, they play faster. And playing faster means better execution and not in a, kind of a confused or, hyper excited state to where they're, really concerned about what's the next thing, what am I supposed to be doing, is this the right thing, and then they just default to probably something that's wrong. And so you want to get them to default to the right thing because they're comfortable.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. As always, we want to thank the head coach of the Vikings, Coach Creighton Phillips, for joining us here on the Lago Vista Football Show. 2-2, big game this week. District's just right around the corner. We're in the meat of the schedule. That's how quick this happens. You think of high school football in Texas, and you think of, you think of colder temperatures. We all miss those. But you also, you think of like October and November, but I mean, the season ends the first week of November. The meat of your schedule is middle of September on. Of course, for y'all, a little bit different. Your district starts a little later. You won't start till October 6th. But yeah, it's crazy to think that we're sitting here on September 20th as I record this in the morning, and you're 4 games in, about to be halfway through your schedule. It goes by quick each and every year. We always say that in the opens on Sideline to Sideline, which, by the way, you can hear each and every week. Grant Goodwin and I, we talk 4A, 3A, and 2A in separate shows. We're also on YouTube at L4 Media Company. But we use that in our intro a lot. I'll intro the show with, as we start, and I'll be like, hey, it's week 6, and it's flying by, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's flying by. This is going to be an interesting game. I feel like Smithville is better than their record, but I also feel like your record eventually, as Bill Parcells, you are who you are. And so maybe they're just going to be sporadic. Now, they did this last year, and then they got a win in the playoffs, and then they got beat by Silsbee in that first round. And I know that's a big thing for them, is avoiding Silsbee this year. Everybody always wants to avoid Silsbee. But yeah, so this is going to be an interesting game. This young Viking team, I feel like the confidence after the back-to-back wins is starting to show, and that run game is really starting to develop. That offensive line is really starting to block really, really well. And so I'm curious to see how this game plays out. Again, we want to thank everybody for listening. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, email them to me, Terry at s2ssport.com. They can be for me. They can be for Coach Phillips. And if I think they fit, I will definitely answer them or have him answer them on the show. All right. Until next time, this has been the Lago Vista Football Show, brought to you by the Lago Vista Boosters right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.